Good afternoon, Steel City. Welcome to the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. On today's show, I will give my top 10 favorite Super Bowl Pittsburgh Steelers highlights from their 8 Super Bowl appearances. That's 6 Super Bowl titles and 2 Super Bowl losses. The Pitt Panthers continue winning. I will recap their last 2 ACC wins. The Pirates have the trucks loaded up and off to Bradenton for spring training. My picks for Super Bowl 58 as the big game gets closer. And I will speak of my time so far as a podcaster on IE Sports Radio. All this coming up on the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go! Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ralph Calise. I'm the host of the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And speaking of IE Sports Radio, I would just like to read from IE Sports Radio for the last 9 years. IE Sports Radio has brought you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to keep up with the latest in sports and with our shows. Also, check out our daily updated website on iesportsradio.com for sports news, the IE Sports Radio blog, our Hall of Fame, I am a member, Fans of the Month, pages dedicated to each podcast, and IE Sports Radio Community Forum. And stop by and check out the merch. Some hot items there. And thank you for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to do something a little different today. There's not much going on in Pittsburgh Steelers world. So being that it's Super Bowl week, I figured I'd give you a little history on the Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowls and my top 10 highlights of the 8 Super Bowl appearances they've been in. Of course, winning 6, losing 2. And I have some good ones. I'll go over them with you in a second. But just to recap, like I said, the Steelers have been in 8 Super Bowls. I don't know of the ages of fans listening to my show. I've seen all 8 of these Super Bowls. So I was a kid starting out as a Steelers fans when they won their first Super Bowl in 1975 versus the Vikings. So let's just go over it. So actually it was 1975, January 12th, that was Super Bowl IX. the Steelers defeated the Vikings 16-6. Chuck Noll was the Steelers coach. Bud Grant was the Vikings coach. The MVP was Franco Harris, and that was in New Orleans, Louisiana. Actually, there was 21 Hall of Famers in that game between both teams. The next Super Bowl the Steelers were in was January 18th, 1976. That was Super Bowl 10. That was versus the Cowboys. The Steelers won that 21-17. Chuck Noll as your Steelers coach. Tom Landry, your Cowboys coach. That was at the Miami Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. Your MVP in that game was Lynn Swann, and there were 23 Hall of Famers that played in that game for both teams. Next Super Bowl they were in was January 21st, 1979. That was Super Bowl 13. That was a Steelers 35-31 win again over the Cowboys. Chuck Noll is the Steelers coach. Tom Landry is the Cowboys coach. And again, that was at the Miami Orange Bowl, Miami, Florida. And your MVP was Terry Bradshaw. This had 25 Hall of Famers between both teams in that game participated, or coached, or owned it. January 20th, 1980, Super Bowl 14. The Steelers defeated the LA Rams at the time. And again, Chuck Noll was your coach for the Steelers. And Ray Malavsky was the coach for the Rams. Your MVP again was Terry Bradshaw, and that was at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. Steelers took a break from the Super Bowl in those early years and came back February 5th, 2006, Super Bowl 40. They beat the Seahawks 21-10. Mike Holmgren was the Seahawks coach. Bill Cowher was the Steelers coach. That was in Ford Field, Detroit, Michigan, Jerome Bettis' hometown, where they won a Super Bowl. Your MVP was my man Hines Ward. 8 Hall of Famers in that game. And I will say that is my favorite Steelers team of all time. Their next Super Bowl was February 1st, 2009, Super Bowl 43. You had the Steelers playing the Arizona Cardinals, with the Steelers becoming the victors 27-23. That was their 6th Super Bowl win in franchise history. Raymond James Stadium, Tampa, Florida. MVP was Santonio Holmes. Only 5 Hall of Famers in that game. They also had 2 Super Bowl losses in Super Bowl 30. That was versus the Cowboys. Bill Cowher was the coach for the Steelers. Barry Switzer was the coach for the winning Cowboys. And then again in Super Bowl 45, they lost to the Green Bay Packers 31-25. That was Mike Tomlin's 2nd Super Bowl. He lost that game, and Mike McCarthy was the Packers head coach. That was at Cowboys Stadium in Arlington, Texas, and your MVP there was Aaron Rodgers. So far, only 4 Hall of Famers out of that game. I'm sure there will be more as time goes on. So that's the history of the Steelers Super Bowl. Now, I'll give you my 10 top highlights. I don't know if some of you are going to remember these, or if you do remember them. These are my highlights. So my number 10 highlight was in Super Bowl 30, which was a loss to the Cowboys. I labeled this as Pittsburgh's onside kick. Again, I don't know who remembers this or who doesn't, but I'll give you a little summary of what happened. This is my 10th highlight. It was 11:48 left in the game. Steelers kicker Norm Johnson kicked a 48-yard field goal, putting the score at 20-10. On the ensuing kickoff, the Steelers, then coach Bill Cowher, and NF Films, if you ever watch, being mic'd up, you could hear him say, they show it and let you listen. He says, "We're going onside here." And so it happened. The surprising, heavily favored Cowboys were surprised by the onside kick. It was recovered by the Steelers. The cornerback's name who recovered it was Deion Figures. It led to a 52-yard drive, and Van Morris scored a rushing TD for a 20-17 Dallas was leading. After that, let's just leave that at this highlight, because I forget what happened after that, and I don't want to remember what happened after that. They wound up losing. This is a good one. I have it at 9. I wanted to put it at higher, but I was just a kid back in these days when they won this Super Bowl. So this is number 9, Super Bowl 10. I labeled this one, Jack Lambert throws Cliff Harris to the turf. Super Bowl 10. With Roy Gerela, the kicker for the Steelers, already hurting from bruised ribs after making a tackle on the opening kickoff, it was 10-7 Dallas. Gerela misses his second field goal of the game with 9:29 left in the third quarter. Cowboys Hall of Famer defensive back Cliff Harris, who was talking shit all week, patted Roy Gerela on the head and continued talking trash as Gerela tried to free himself from Cliff Harris. Jack Lambert, Steelers' middle linebacker, came to Roy Gerela's defense and grabs him and throws him to the turf, to the ground. Cliff Harris, playing victim and lobbying to have Lambert ejected from the game to the officials, was later more annoyed as the official decided to keep Lambert in the game. And this, according to many, used this, Jack Lambert meaning this altercation, to psych himself into an even higher level of rage. Lambert was so pumped running through people, finding the ball carrier 14 times in Super Bowl 10, leading the Steelers to another Super Bowl win. Lambert, after game comments, when asked, "We're the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're supposed to be the intimidator." Now, mind you, I'm a kid seeing this, and guys, I was hooked after that. Let's go black and gold. If you don't know Jack Lambert, just go check out some highlights of him. And yeah, he was a special player for the Steelers back in the days. Number 8 is close to my heart because this guy is one of my favorite Steelers ever. This was the Steelers versus the Cowboys again in Super Bowl 30. And cornerback Rod Woodson makes a great Super Bowl defensive play versus Cowboys Michael Irvin. Now, that year, Rod Woodson would manage to play in the Super Bowl despite suffering a torn ACL in Week 1. Rod Woodson, arguably the best defensive player heading into 1995 season, tore his ACL on September 3rd, 1995. That was the opening game of the season versus the Lions, after making a cut to tackle Hall of Famer Barry Sanders. Now, I'm sure people out there know who Barry Sanders was. Rod Woodson hurt his ACL trying to tackle him. Normally, this injury would require 9 to 12 months recovery. It was believed that Woodson would be done for the season, so Rod Woodson vowed to be back in playoffs, and the Steelers in the Super Bowl, he begged Bill Cowher not to put him on injured reserve, and in a bold move by the head coach, Bill Cowher, he listened, believing his all-pro player. The Steelers went on to go to win the AFC Championship and make Super Bowl 30. Woodson did not play in the playoffs, where Woodson returned, obliterating the recovery time for an ACL injury in this tough 27-17 loss that went to Dallas. It was a moral victory for Woodson, as it was his first time ever playing in a Super Bowl. He also was the first player ever to return in the same season that had that reconstructive surgery. Woodson, limited only to 12 plays, was used mostly on third down plays. And again, his biggest play came on that pass breakup against Cowboys Hall of Fame wide receiver Michael Irvin. Immediately after, he raised his leg and pointed to his knee. To this day, he will always praise Bill Cowher for letting him play and keeping him on the 52 players active roster. It was the first Super Bowl Woodson ever played, and Rod Woodson slogan was, "I can make it back," to Bill Cowher, and he made it happen. Love Rod Woodson. Hashtag Rod is God. I have that out there on the X Twitter. He is one of my top 3 ever favorite Steeler players. The next one was number 7 was Super Bowl 9. The This was the Super Bowl versus the Vikings. Like I said, I was a kid back in the day, so the memories of it that I have was Franco Harris. He was the MVP of the Super Bowl. 34 rushes, 158 yards, 1 TD. The Steel Curtain arrived. They had a safety, 2 sacks, 3 INTs, allowed 17 yards net rushing and 102 yards passing. And the funniest thing about this game that probably nobody knows, the Steelers had 8 penalties for 122 yards. That's more yards than they gave up on defense to the Vikings offense. Number 6 was Steelers versus Cowboys in the 1978 Super Bowl 13. This I labeled Swan's acrobatic score. With 7 minutes left to victory, Bradshaw threw an 18-yard pass to Swan in the end zone. Once again, Swan leapt into the air to make an acrobatic grab for the game-sealing TD. I'm sure if you go back and check Super Bowl highlights, you'll definitely see that play. The next one was Steelers versus Seahawks 2005. That's Super Bowl 40. And this was when Fast Willie Parker, off to the races as I labeled it. The Steelers' opening drive of Super Bowl 40, second half, Hall of Fame guard Alan Faneca threw a lead block on linebacker Leroy Hill of the Seahawks. That block shot Parker out of a cannon for a 75-yard TD run, the longest run in Super Bowl history. That led to Faneca saying afterwards, "I knew we had them. I made my block. I spun around so I could watch Willie take it to the house." The next highlight was Bradshaw to Stallworth. Steelers versus Ram. 1979, Super Bowl 14. 3rd and 8. Bradshaw threw a perfect spiral to Stallworth, who caught it over his shoulder for a 73-yard touchdown pass. It came the Steelers a 24-19 lead they would never relinquish. The next one was Lynn Swan's levitating leap. Steelers versus Cowboys, 1975, Super Bowl 10. Pinned deep in their own end, Bradshaw launched a 53-yard pass to old reliable Lynn Swan. Lynn Swan leapt in the air to catch the ball, and a Dallas defender got his hands on it in an attempt to break it up. The football was juggled, and showing tremendous concentration, Swan came down with it. In my opinion, to this day, it's one of the greatest catches in Super Bowl history. I could see it on my computer screen as I'm talking to you now. All right, my third favorite highlight of Steelers Super Bowls was the Pittsburgh Special. Steelers Seahawks 2005 Super Bowl 40. Before the Philly Special, there was a Pittsburgh Special. On a reverse gadget play, Roethlisberger handed off to Willie Parker, and Parker to Anton Well threw the best pass of Super Bowl 40, threw a beautiful pass of 43 yards to Hines Ward, Super Bowl 40 MVP, for the TD play that put the game away for the Steelers, who defeated the Seahawks 21-10 for their 5th Super Bowl win. That was number 3. Down to the final 2. Number 2. I'm sure everybody's seen this one. Again, Super Bowl 43, Steelers versus Cardinals, 2008. James Harrison's pick 6. As the Cardinal QB, Kurt Warner expected a full-out blitz, James Harrison anticipated a pick route and dropped back into coverage. He intercepted a pass intended for Anquan Bolden and took it 100 yards to the house after what seemed like a dozen missed tackles. Harrison collapsed in the end zone for the score. It was the longest INT in Super Bowl history. That was number 2. Number 1. Again, same game. Steelers versus Cardinals, 2008, Super Bowl 43. The made-to-be-great catch, tremendous toe tap in Santonio Holmes is how I call it. So this one was Ben Roethlisberger's best throw of his career, was also Santonio Holmes' best catch of his career. And the greatest catch in Super Bowl history, flanked by defenders, Holmes went up and snagged Ben Roethlisberger's pass out of the air and made a toe-tap catch in the corner of the end zone. The pass completion ruling was challenged, and the play was upheld. The score sealed a victory for the Steelers, their sixth Super Bowl win in franchise history, and the second in the last 4 seasons. The play before that, if anybody remembers the game, they tried the same play on the other side of the end zone. I want to say the left side of the end zone. And how Ben Roethlisberger threw this pass twice in a row is amazing, because the first one went right through Santonio Holmes' hands. He would have made the catch before this one on the prior play on the other side of the end zone if the ball didn't go through his hands. And that whole drive was just amazing. The Cardinals had taken the lead on a busted play. It was a slant to Larry Fitzgerald. And all I remember is seeing Troy Polamalu chasing Larry Fitzgerald with his hair flying in the air, and he wasn't catching him. They were up on the Steelers, and then the Steelers had that last chance drive after that. I think there was like a minute 40 seconds or something left when they started that drive, and Ben led them down the field. I think Santonio Holmes had like 3 or 4 catches on the drive, and then finished it up with that toe tap and beauty. So at Super Bowl week, I figured I'd do a little something different, being that there's not much news out there on the Steelers. And those are my 10 highlights of Steelers football Super Bowl wins and losses. I hope you enjoyed it. Just some thoughts on Super Bowl 58 coming up Sunday. I don't have a team I want to root for in the game. I have a feeling it's going to be a great game. Both teams have good quarterback play. I will be rooting for my boxes. I have about 20 to 25 boxes out there, so hopefully I can hit on that. And I just would like to say about the game, the host of our Sin City show was talking about it. He, of course, does not. And maybe even Larry B., he probably don't want to see this. You do not want the Chiefs to win if you're a Raider fan in that stadium. That is your stadium, your new stadium, the Las Vegas Stadium where they're playing this game, is the new stadium for the Las Vegas Raiders. To have the Chiefs, who you beat, I think it was Christmas Day. Was it Christmas Day? Yeah, they beat the Chiefs in KC in a great game. They showed Kansas City's flaws in that game. Turnovers. Oh my God. And you do not want Kansas City winning this game and celebrating on your field. I'm sorry. You cannot have that. So, Raider fans out there, I hear you on that. And let's just hope it's a good game. And it turns out to be the way people want it to be. All the bettors out there, I'm sure that's going to be going. And we'll see what happens. So, I don't have a particular team I want to root for. If I did, I would root for the Chiefs because I don't want San Francisco win another Super Bowl. I think that would make it 6 for them, and that would tie them with us. Or I think they're tied with us. I'm not really sure. But that's my route on the Super Bowl. All right, I'll take a break. This is the Yinzer Report, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I will be back, and we'll get into some Pitt basketball, and we'll talk about that on the way back.
Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a down south education on Florida sports and athletics. It's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Everybody, this is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back. The Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's get to that chat. I was too busy talking about the Steelers and I lost fact that the chat was going. Tehran, thanks for joining in. Larry B, my man. Arthur, how are you, sir? Jen V, Larry B, Arthur. Oh my God, you guys are awesome. Arthur, Larry, Tehran again, Tehran, Jen. Oh my God, I can't even read the comments. There's so many. But thank you very much for joining in. I hope you're enjoying the show. All right, I got some Pitt Panthers men's NCAA basketball for you. So, this team is really playing well. So they had a game Wednesday, January 21st. Again, it's ACC basketball. They played the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Excuse me. And this was at the Peterson Events in Pittsburgh, PA. And the Panthers came out victors, 77-72. The Panthers got their first conference win at home this season. Pitt trailed by 12 points. A minute into the second half, they cut the lead to 2 points with 8:30 left in the game, and then went on a 20-10 run to pull away. Carlton Harrington and Ishmael Leggett each scored career highs for Pitt. Carrington, 24 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Leggett had 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 steals off the bench. Blake Hinson added 17 points for Pitt. Pitt had a spectacular defensive effort in the second half, holding Forest to a 38.2% three-point shooting. They held them to 27.2%. They were a 38.2 three-point shooting team and held them to 27.2 and forced 15 turnovers to spark the surging 20-10 run. I just want to say the Pitt backcourt came up big, and time again in the victory during the 20-10 run. It was fueled by a ferocious slam dunk by William Jeffers and an out-of-bounds play where he entered the game, and the Pitt fans at the zoo were going nuts. Leggett had a slick transition layup that gave Pitt a 6-point game with 34 seconds left. The Panthers withstood the late pressure and held strong down the stretch and captured an emotional first home win in AC play versus a valiant team. Pitt, after this game, has won 3 of its last 4 games, and this young freshman guard, Carrington, has arrived and are playing above his freshman status. Pitt has some great freshman players this year, helping with their quality play in the last 4 games in the ACC. So Pitt, after this game, was 13-8 and 4-6 in the ACC. Their next game was Saturday, February 3rd, again at the Peterson Event Center in Pittsburgh, PA. ACC basketball again. Pittsburgh beat Notre Dame 70-60. Hinson and Carrington lead Pitt to the 70-60 win over Notre Dame. Blake Hinson scored 17 points, and there's that guy again, Carlton Carrington, 16 points. This was the Panthers' 300 win at the Peterson Event Center. Again, Hinson and Carrington combined to make 7 of Pitt's 10 three-pointers. Ishmael Leggett added 12 points, and other freshman guard, Jalen Lowe, added 11 points. One of the best names in college basketball, and you can look this up, Federico, and that's his name, grabbed 9 rebounds to assist Pitt in this win. Pitt had a 7-0 spurt with 5 points by Hinson that put them in charge with their biggest margin at 64-47 with about 3 minutes remaining. Pitt did overcome an early cold streak to cruise and smooth the victory over Notre Dame in this game, but yet again, starting the win at Duke weeks ago, the team's mental and physical toughness growth is beginning to display in their latest victories. With the 300 win at the Peterson Event Center, you can feel the revived and one of the best atmospheres in college basketball in that arena. Pitt has won 4 of its last 5 games, all in ACC play, and are now 14-8 and 5-6 in ACC play. They're moving up. The Pitt Panthers' hard-charging rookie watch again on display in this game. Carlton Carrington, formerly mentioned, 20 minutes, 16 points. Jalen Lowe, 37 minutes, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. That's a stat sheet stuffer right there for a college game. And again, with junior guard Ishmael Leggett, 32 minutes, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. All helping Pitt to this victory. And Pitt's next game is tomorrow at NC State at 7 p.m. So yeah, Pitt basketball is really looking good of late. I think they're spurred on by that win versus Duke. What was it, like 3 weeks ago? And they're coming on strong. Just checking the chat. I think that's the second time I did that. I'm so sorry. I keep pronouncing your name wrong. Oh my God. Please forgive me. All right. I have a little Pittsburgh Pirates information. Oh, hello, Patty. Patty Bax. Welcome back. Hope everything is okay. You were just in Pittsburgh this weekend. All right. I hope everything is well, Patty. Okay. Let me speak about the Pittsburgh Pirates. Spring training is coming quickly. And actually today, pitchers and catchers arrive February 14, 2025. So that's Valentine's Day. So if you're a Pirate fan and you're at spring training, take your girlfriend or your wife to some spring training, Pirates baseball. I'm sure you guys will have fun. Anyway, earlier today, the Pirates' spring training gear was packed up and sent off to Bradenton. Trucks with thousands of pounds of gear, including jerseys, sweatshirts, helmets, and bats, left the Steel City today around noon. So they're trucking their way to Florida. I guess they'll arrive sometime tomorrow late. I don't know. I'm sure they'll stop off. They can't be doing that drive with all that stuff. But I put together a projected lineup for the 2024 Pittsburgh Pirates. I'll give it out today, and then as the season gets closer, we'll see how I made up with it. So I have it this way going that O'Neal Cruz at shortstop, he'll be batting first. Brian Reynolds will be batting second in one of the outfield positions. Ke'Bryan Hayes will be at third base, batting third. The DH will be Andrew McCutchen. He came back to the Pirates this year. Outfielder Jack Sawinski, he will be fifth. Catcher Henry Davis, sixth. First baseman Rowdy Tellez. Second baseman Liover Peguero. And the last spot will go to outfielder Joshua Palacios. The utility guy who will be filling in those positions, of course, is Connor Joe. He won his arbitration case earlier back in the January. He's a good player. Your starting pitcher is going to be Mitch Keller. The closer is David Bednar. This guy's been insane the past couple of years. Your setup guy for the right-handers will be Colin Holderman. And your setup for your left-handed hitters will be Aroldis Chapman. He's the guy they recently signed from Texas who won the championship. So that's my projected lineup for the Pirates in 2024. It's coming so fast, before you know it, it'll be here. They'll be there shortly for spring training, and we'll have some Bucko baseball to talk about. All right, I'm going to take a break, and when I come back, I'm just going to talk about my thoughts on being a podcaster on IE Sports Radio. So again, this is the Yinzer Report, your direct feed for all that is sports, and I'll be back shortly.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pulp culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey yo, what's up? It's your man Bishop, the voice of This Is KC Sports, the show where we go over the Chiefs, the Royals, KC Current, Sporting KC, MU, and oh yeah, if we got time, we'll even throw in some of that KU stuff from my people on the 913 South. Come and hang out with us every Sunday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Welcome back. This is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Again, my name is Ralph Calise, and I would just like to read something from our sponsor, Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, premium brisket beef jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, low in sugar, and high in protein. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on the whole of the planet. You can check them out on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Hey, let's get some for the big game Sunday. That'll be a surprise. People can have fun with the jerky along watching the game. All right. So, as you know, again, this is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. And I just want to take some time and talk about how it's been being a podcaster on this radio station. I am so humbled to be a host of this show. I'm starting to get used to it. I'm really into it. And I want to have that feeling. I don't know if anybody out there has had this feeling. I'm sure somebody has. But, see, let's go back to when the Steelers lost to Buffalo. I did a show the next day, and I don't know if anybody realized my show that day only lasted 45 minutes. I did have something happen during the show that was going outside, so I was trying to concentrate on the show and what was going on the outside at my home here. But the whole show, even before that happened, I couldn't do it. I don't know how I did that show. I was so down and out. I'm just a very fan, heavy favorite Steeler fan, and to talk about it to people really got me. I part of that show was done early because I couldn't talk about it. I really couldn't. So what I'm trying to say is, I guess that's the bad side of it, but I want to have that feeling of the good side of it. I mean, I got to try to go back. I don't know if like teams that have already won championships in basketball, football, baseball, if you guys were on after their shows and how you sounded or how you did it. I mean, if I come on the air after Steelers win a Super Bowl, or the Penguins win a Stanley Cup, or the Pirates win a World Series, or any Pittsburgh fashion in that matter wins a championship, oh my God, I'm gonna be stoked. And I just think this is a great outlet to talk about the teams, your teams. And the passion, I've listened to mostly all the shows, and the passion of the people at IE Sports Radio with their shows is phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, it's just my thought. I had this thought today, and I figured out, let me get it out there, being that there wasn't really much to talk about that's going on. I don't know, maybe there's somebody's feelings out there that maybe you could tell me how you felt about, like a win. Like the Kansas City sports show. Oh, he's going to be going crazy if they win this week. Even the 49ers show. So, yeah, it's just a feeling that I've had in doing it. I'm new to this. It's my 6th episode, and like I said, I'm having a ball with it. I love the IE Sports Radio family. You guys are great. Some of you guys are really out there in the chat. You help me along during my shows, and I get stoked up to do the show when Tuesday comes. So I'm just hoping everybody enjoys it. And again, Tehran, it's bothering me so much. I think I said it wrong again. But I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, so listen. IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. There is sports cities out there for everybody. There's other shows that even there's other shows out there that even don't even talk about sports. You have Larry and his wife. You have Mike Pat. He talks about wine. That is great. That's great. That's a great show. And let me give you the lineup for the rest of the day, because Tuesday is a real big day on IE Sports Radio. And yeah, I just wanted to share my feelings with you. And again, I'm not saying bad about anybody. I never will. I love you guys, and I love doing this. It's a great feeling. Okay, so I'll just go over what's coming up today. The next show is the Show of the Land with Jen B. That's Cleveland Sports. Patty is back. I'm glad to see she's feeling well. That's the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Backs. Good luck, Patty. Next is the Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris. Then is the Neutral Zone with Adam and Zachary. Good hockey show. And then you have Sin City Sports with Kaylee. He's the one who doesn't want the Chiefs winning on his own field Sunday. I agree. 100%. So, that's today. That's what's coming up on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. I hope everybody enjoyed my 10 favorite Steeler highlights of the Super Bowls. Like I said, they came in the early 70s, so I don't know the age group of the listeners or the show hopes. And yeah, Super Bowl 40 was the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's my favorite team of all time. Ben, Hines, Jerome, Troy, Joey Porter Sr., Harrison was there. Ike Taylor, A lot of names, a lot of memories. I went to a lot of games in Pittsburgh that year. I almost went to the Super Bowl, but I couldn't get a plane flight out there from where I was living, so I got screwed on that deal. But yeah, it's great. It's great winning a football Super Bowl win. I mean, you carry that along with you for life. For life. I will say that. So, hey, thanks again for everybody in the chat. Mike Patch has joined. Mr. Rodriguez. I'm going to call you Mr. Rodriguez till I get your name right, because I don't think I screwed that up. I love you, guy. He wrote, "This is a story I always talk about on Set Point. I almost didn't want to do Set Point because hardly anyone was listening, but I never gave up and discovered my passion for the show." Oh, my man, you are great. I mean, like I said, I'm new, and I've listened to all of your shows. I'm even following you on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Your shows are amazing. And now you're getting interviews with all these people. Oh, it's a learning experience for me. The sport and what you do. Awesome. Keep it up. Mike Pat, good afternoon, sir. That's my wine guy. He's great. So, all right, guys, I'm out of here for the day. Enjoy the rest of the shows that are coming up. And this is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Jen B's probably got a finger on the button ready to go for the show to land. Have a great Super Bowl week. Enjoy the game. Root for who you want to root for. Like I said, rooting for my Boxers. And always remember, let's go! Thanks for tuning in. The Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all other sports. Stay tuned. 5 more shows to come, all in a row. Tune in. Thank you. Good night. Love you guys.